Brain of Britain, the nationwide general knowledge contest, chaired by Russell Davis.
Thank you and hello. Another 4 keen brains join me at the Radio Theatre in London to embark on what, for one or more of them, may be a path to the final stages of the 2018 tournament. And who knows, even to the title of 65th BBC Brain of Britain. Let's waste no time in meeting today's competitors.
Hello, I'm Mark Eves, an accountant from Bexley.
Hello, my name's Andrew FANKO. I'm a freelance translator from Market Harborough in Leicestershire.
Hello, I'm GILLIAN LEDWIck from Brentford in West London, and I'm retired.
Hello, I'm John Robinson. I'm an English teacher from Birmingham.
Well, the rules are few and long established. I ask you questions worth a point apiece, and you have 10 seconds to think about your answer before the bell cuts you off. Your turn ends when you get one wrong or can't give me an answer, in which case I open it to the others, and the turn moves on down the line. 5 correct answers in a row will win you a bonus 6th point. I hope that's all clear. Good luck, everyone. The first question is for you, Mark Eves. Also known as the tailbone, what name is given to the small triangular bone forming the termination of the human spinal column?
Coccyx.
Yes, from the Greek for cuckoo, from its resemblance to a cuckoo's beak, apparently. The 1937 book, known in the original Danish as Den Afrikanske Form, is generally referred to in English by which 3-word title?
Out of Africa.
Yes, by Isaac Denison, pseudonym of Karen Blixen. Paradoxides, Phacops, and Calamine are all species of which extinct fossil arthropods, whose generic name refers to their division into 3 longitudinal lobes.
Trilobites.
Yes. The moons of which planet of the solar system are named after the sons of Ares and Aphrodite?
Uranus.
No. Andrew FANKO.
Mars.
Mars, Phobos and Deimos, Ares being the Greek counterpart of Mars. Andrew FANKO, your question. The journalists Susanna Clapp, Michael Billington and Charles Spencer are all particularly known for their reporting on which specific subject?
The royal family.
No. Mark Eves.
The theatre.
Yes, they're theatre reviewers. GILLIAN LEDWICK. Which flowering plants commonly found in gardens are named after the feast day celebrated on the 29th of September?
Michaelmas daisies.
That's right. The football fixture between Rangers and Celtic is known as the Old Firm Derby. What nickname, by analogy, is used for the Highlands Derby between near neighbours Inverness Caledonian Thistle and Ross County?
The New Firm?
No. Mark?
The North Firm.
No. Yes, Andrew FANKO.
The Highland Firm.
No. No. It's the Cold Firm, I'm afraid. Well, it is up north. The city of Inverness and the town of Dingwall, where Ross County play, are 14 miles apart. John Robinson, according to the title of the 1970s autobiography by David Niven, the moons are what?
No.
No. Andrew FANKO?
Balloon.
Yes, best-selling book in its time, but its time was a little time ago. End of the first round, with John Robinson yet to score. GILLIAN LEDWICK 1, Andrew FANKO 2, Mark Eves 4. And directly back to Mark Eves. 410 miles in length, which East African lake is the longest freshwater lake in the world?
Malawi.
No. GILLIAN LEDWICK.
Victoria?
Nope. Andrew FANKO.
Tanganyika.
Lake Tanganyika is the one, and this is your question. An individual suffering from the condition known as Wernicke aphasia has difficulty with what?
Smell.
No. John Robinson.
Smiling.
No. Mark Eves.
Balance.
No. No. Okay. It's language, but it's receiving language, understanding rather than speaking. The Wernicke area of the brain, named after the German neurologist who discovered it in 1874, is the region that contains the motor neurons involved in speech comprehension. Gillian Ledwick, your question then. The origins of which worldwide organization began in the early 1960s when an American housewife, Jean Nidetch, invited some friends over for an informal get-together at her home in New York? Out of time. I think it's guessing time. Andrew FANKO?
Avon.
Not Avon, no. Mark Eves?
Tupperware.
No. John Robinson, going to have a go?
Women's Institute.
No, it's Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers. Later, she would summarize the regime simply in 4 words: drop the damn fork. John Robinson's question. In 1978, the future Labour leader Michael Foot said of which fellow politician, "It is not necessary that every time he rises he should give his famous imitation of a semi-house-trained polecat"?
Dennis Healy.
No, Mark Eves.
Tebbit.
Norman Tebbit, yes, now Baron Tebbit of Chingford. Far from being insulted by this comment, when he entered the House of Lords, Tebbit incorporated a polecat on his coat of arms. End of the second round. John Robinson still to get off the mark. Gillian Ledwick 1, Andrew FANKO 3. Mark Eves has moved on to 5. Now, Mark Eves, here's some music for you, and it's a version of the song La Vie en Rose, co-written by Edith Piaf, France's Little Sparrow. It's been covered by various artists, including Louis Armstrong and Grace Jones. I'd like you to tell me whose interpretation this is, an American rock singer closely associated at one time in his career with David Bowie.
Ses bras, elle me parlait tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Elle me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur.
Iggy Pop?
Iggy Pop it was, yes, alias James Newell Osterberg Jr. What a voice. The Exxon Valdez disaster of 1989, in which more than 250,000 barrels of crude oil were accidentally released into the sea, took place off the coast of which American state?
Washington.
No. Andrew FANKO?
Florida.
Not Florida. Gillian Ledwick?
Alaska.
Yes, it happened on the 24th of March 1989 in Prince William Sound, an inlet in the Gulf of Alaska. Andrew FANKO's question. In Jane Austen's novel Pride and Prejudice, what's the forename of Mr. Darcy?
Fitzwilliam.
Yes, famously the winner of the BBC's Vintage Wet T-shirt competition for 1995. The words "for valour" famously appear on the Victoria Cross. Which 2 words are inscribed on the George Cross?
For gallantry.
Yes. What was the name of the radio station we know now as BBC Radio 4 Extra before 2011?
Home service.
No, that was longer ago. John Robinson?
Radio 7.
Yes. Gillian Ledwick. Since the first ceremony in 1929, Oscar statuettes have been awarded by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. According to point 10 in the list of official regulations, award winners are not permitted to sell their statuettes without first offering to sell them to the Academy. For what precise sum of money?
$2,000?
No. Mark Eves?
$1.
$1, yes. A bit mean, isn't it? John Robinson, this is your question then. January brings the snow, makes our feet and fingers glow is the opening of a 19th century children's poem that, through a series of 12 rhyming couplets, takes the reader on a journey through the shifting weather patterns of the months of the year. It was written by Sarah, the daughter of a major 19th century poet. Which one?
Wordsworth?
No. Andrew FANKO?
Tennyson.
No. Worth a guess. Gillian Ledwick?
Byron?
No. Mark Eves?
Coleridge.
Samuel Taylor Coleridge is the right answer. She was Sarah Coleridge. The poem is known variously as A Calendar, The Garden Year, and The Months, and you may know the parody of it by Flanders and Swan, Song of the Weather. End of another round. John Robinson 1, Gillian Ledwick 2, Andrew FANKO 5, Mark Eves 8. Nobody out of sight by any means as we return to Mark Eves. Your next question is by way of a tribute to the late Sir Bruce Forsyth. In which year was the Generation Game first screened in the UK?
1970.
No. John Robinson?
72.
Nope. Andrew FANKO?
73.
No.
74.
No, Gillian Ledwick, 71. You all went round it. On the 2nd of October, now allegedly about to be revived by the BBC with Mel and Sue as hosts, I think. Andrew FANKO, some music for you now from Camille Saint-Saëns' Carnival of the Animals. Have a listen and tell me which animal is represented in the following piece.
Mouse.
Nope. Mark Eves?
Wild ass.
No. John Robinson?
Rabbit?
Nope. Gillian Ledwick?
Elephant?
No. That would have been a very sprightly elephant. It was kangaroos. Kangaroos. Could have been a penguin, but it was a kangaroo. We heard Pascal Roger from a recording with the London Sinfonietta. Gillian Ledwick, your question. Which nut, along with tomatoes, basil, garlic, and pecorino cheese, is an essential ingredient in the classic Sicilian pasta sauce known as pesto trapanese?
And pine kernel?
No. Mark Eves?
Almond.
Almond, yes. Not to be confused, you see, with pesto alla genovese, which usually uses pine kernels, basil, olive oil, and parmesan. John Robinson, in the F-Plan diet developed by Audrey Ayton in the 1980s, what did the letter F stand for?
Fibre?
Yes, it did. One of the most famous horses in history is Bucephalus, owned and much loved by Alexander the Great. But what does the name Bucephalus mean? No, Gillian Ledwick.
Bullhead, bullheaded.
Yes, near enough. Ox-headed, yes, in ancient Greek. End of another round. Scores have moved on a little bit. John Robinson 2, Gillian Ledwick 3, Andrew FANKO 5, Mark Eves 9. Good run by anyone can still win this, but we've reached the point in the programme where we let our combatants sit back and take a few minutes breather. I have a pair of questions here from a Brain of Britain listener hoping to beat the brains. Our four brains can collaborate and confer on these questions just for a bit of fun and with no impact on the scores, needless to say. Today, we've chosen two questions supplied by Mr. Darrell Desbrow in Dalbeattie. And it's not often we get such an alliterative contributor. If the team can't dispatch Mr. Desbrow's deliveries, he'll win himself a prize of a book voucher to spend on something mind-improving or entirely daft, as he chooses. In a minute, I'll remind you how you can submit your own question ideas to us. But first, let's see how the brains get on with Darrell Desbrow's questions. He asks, first, an arena... now any space for public performance, was originally a word for a Roman amphitheatre used for combat. How did it get that name?
Sand, yeah. It's the word for sand, isn't it? Arena.
Because it was spread with sand.
Which was there to do what?
Catch the blood.
Exactly. I think he was hoping to detain you a bit longer with that question, but you got it right. Yes, it's the Latin word for sand, and the ground where the combat took place would traditionally be strewn with sand, the better to soak up the blood spilt. I think we'd better go straight on to question 2 then. The flowering plant Dianthus arenarius, arena built into it, you see, is thus commonly known as the sand pink, pink being a common name for plants of the genus Dianthus. And yet, the flowers are white. So why is the plant called a pink?
Maybe change to that colour at some point.
Variety of carnation.
It's a small carnation, isn't it? That used to be a gillyflower. So we don't...
We think because it's a variety of gillyflower, which is a type of carnation.
No. The name refers to the fact that the flowers are incised. To pink, as in pinking shears, can mean to decorate at the edge with a frilly or ornamental pattern, and that's the usage from which the flower name pink is thought to derive. So, some instructive etymology from Mr. Desborough, and in addition to educating us, of course, you did succeed in outwitting our assembled brains, so well done indeed, and thank you for your questions. A book voucher prize will be heading to Dalbeattie very shortly, and in the meantime, you also earn this demonic deluge of applause. You can submit your own ideas for inclusion in this section of the programme at any time by emailing them to brainofbritain@bbc.co.uk or by following the contact link on our web pages. Alternatively, you're more than welcome to write them down and put them in an envelope addressed to Brain of Britain, Dock House, Media Cities, Salford, M50 2LH. Back to the contest then after that interlude, and the next round begins with you, Mark Eves. The Tour de France's yellow jersey is perhaps the most famous and coveted item of clothing in cycling. What colour is the jersey worn by the overall leader in the Italian cycle race, the Giro d'Italia?
Pink?
Yes, known as the Maglia Rosa. Lyra Belacqua is the heroine in a series of novels by which British author?
Pullman.
Philip Pullman. She's the heroine of the His Dark Materials trilogy. In 2017, on the second day of the third test against the West Indies at Lord's, James Anderson became the first English bowler to take 500 test wickets. Which batsman did he dismiss?
Bravo?
No. Andrew FANKO remembers.
Samuels?
It wasn't Samuels, no. These are good suggestions. John Robinson?
Ramdin?
No. Gillian Ledwick, remember any of the team? No, you don't. It was Craig Brathwaite. And to date, only 5 other bowlers have reached this milestone: Glenn McGrath, Courtney Walsh, Anil Kumble, Shane Warne, and Muttiah Muralitharan. Andrew FANKO. George Bernard Shaw wrote the part of Eliza Doolittle in his play Pygmalion for one of the most acclaimed actresses of her day. She was born Beatrice Stella Tanner in 1865. But what was her stage name?
Smith?
No. Mark Eves?
Ellen Terry?
No. Gillian Ledwick?
Mrs. Patrick Campbell?
Is the right answer. Yes, Mrs. Patrick Campbell. Your question, and it's a music one again. You're about to hear a clip from a hit song of 1967 that's often known as Grocer Jack, for reasons which are obvious when you hear it. But I'd like to know what its actual title is.
10 o'clock, the housewife yell. When Jack turns up, we'll give him hell. Husbands moan at breakfast tables. No milk, no eggs, or marmalade labels. Mothers send the children out to Jack's house to scream and shout.
Grocer Jack, get off your back. Come into town, don't let us down. Oh no, no. Grocer Jack, get off your back. Come into town, don't let us down. Oh no, no.
Do I remember that with affection? I think probably not. Do you remember what it's called? Not coming back? No. All right. Does anyone? Yes, Mark Eaves.
Excerpt from a teenage opera.
Is perfectly right. Well done. Written by Mark Wirtz and sung by Keith West. It reached number 2 in the British charts in 1967. John Robinson's question. Which animated superhero has a hamster sidekick called Penfold?
Danger Mouse.
Yes. There were those who thought that Penfold was a mole, but his creator, Brian Cosgrove, confirmed that he is indeed a hamster. The American footballer William Perry is better known by what nickname?
The Fridge.
Yes, NFL legend who played for the Chicago Bears in the 80s and 90s. Xanthus and Balios played key roles in the Trojan War. Who or what were they?
Were they the people inside the Trojan horse?
No. Mark Eaves?
Heralds.
No. Yes, Gillian Ledwick.
Charioteers?
No. Franco, going to have a go?
Were they animals of some kind?
Well, I'd need a little more guidance than that. I think.
They were messenger birds.
No. The Trojan horse was an interesting answer because they were themselves horses, immortal horses belonging to Achilles. End of another round, and it's John Robinson 4, Gillian Ledwick 4, Andrew Fanko 5, Mark Eaves now 12. And it is to him that we return. In which British city were tanks deployed in February 1919 after what became known as Bloody Friday?
Glasgow.
Yes, to quell a riot of striking workers, which the authorities apparently feared might escalate into an event of Russian Revolution proportions. What's the title of the novel by Robert Harris, set in 1964, which imagines an alternative history that saw the Germans winning the Second World War?
Fatherland.
That's the one. Which museum is housed in the building that was once the central portion of Bethlehem Royal Hospital, or Bedlam?
The Imperial War Museum.
Yes, it moved there in 1936. It was originally opened in the Crystal Palace in 1920. What is the two-word term for the procedure that does not allow a person to be tried again for the same offence, although this has been allowed in exceptional circumstances by Part 10 of the Criminal Justice Act 2003, which came into force in April 2005?
Double jeopardy.
Double jeopardy is right, yes. Which two parts of the body, and I must have both, are covered by the membrane known as the dura mater?
The brain and the eyes.
No. Yes, Andrew Fanko.
The hip and the pelvis.
No. Okay, no. Brain was right. Brain and spinal cord was the real answer. Andrew Fanko. In chemistry, the three-center bond present in molecules such as diborane B2H6 is often referred to using the name of which fruit?
Pineapple.
No. Mark Eaves.
Banana.
Yes, it's called a banana bond, indeed. Gillian Ledwick, the name of which popular game derives from the Swahili word meaning to build?
Meccano?
No. Andrew Fanko.
Jenga.
Jenga. Yes, you're right. John Robinson, your next question concerns a musical extract, and it's taken from an opera chorus that provides a moment of serenity in an otherwise tragic tale. I'd like you to tell me which opera it's from.
Tosca?
Not Tosca, I'm afraid. Mark Eaves.
Madame Butterfly.
Yes, we heard what was obviously the humming chorus from Puccini's 1904 opera, Madame Butterfly. End of the round, and here are the scores. John Robinson 4, Gillian Ledwick 4, Andrew Fanko 6, Mark Eaves 18. Right, and this is the final round, Mark Eves, as we return to you. Along with cheese, which vegetable is the main ingredient of the rustic French dish known as aligot?
Onions?
No. John Robinson?
Lamb?
Not lamb, I'm afraid. Gillian Ledwick?
Leeks?
Nope. Andrew Fanko?
Asparagus?
No, nothing so fancy. Potato. It's a sort of gloopy fondue-style dish with medieval origins. Andrew Fanko's question. Which specific part of the body is afflicted by the swelling known as a baker's cyst?
The fingers?
No. Gillian Ledwick?
Wrist?
Not the wrist, no. John Robinson?
Elbow?
No. Mark Eves?
Thumb?
No. It's the back of the knee. Oddly enough. It's a usually painless swelling named after the surgeon William Morant Baker and nothing at all to do with the profession of bakery. Gillian Ledwick, in which desert with a name that means waterless place will you find the Ordos Art and City Museum, a 41,000 square foot abstract form inspired by Buckminster Fuller's geodesic domes?
Atacama?
No. Marquis?
Gobi.
The Gobi Desert, yes. Finished in 2011, built from materials made to endure the ferocious climate. It takes its name from the city of Ordos, a newly built city constructed in the desert. John Robinson, which 1967 album by Pink Floyd takes its title from a chapter of Kenneth Grahame's children's novel, The Wind in the Willows?
Wish You Were Here?
No. Andrew Fanko?
Dark Side of the Moon?
No. Mark Eves?
Piper at the Gates of Dawn.
Their first album, and that was its title. You're right, as you have been quite often in this contest, because here are the scores as we arrive at the end of this fourth heat of Brain of Britain 2018. John Robinson and Gillian Ledwick, 4 apiece. Andrew Fanko, 6. Mark Eves, 20. Which means that Mark Eves rather emphatically will be back in the semi-finals in a couple of months' time. Congratulations to him. We'll be in the north of England next week, where I hope you'll join us for another heat of Brain of Britain. Until then, thanks for listening and goodbye.